Listen, I am uncovering a buried truth. Everything you know about the Little Mermaid is a lie. Her silence was not a fairy tale necessity. It was a weapon designed and honed across centuries. Disney's reinvention, which earned $200 million, sanitized her devouring origins, recasting mutilation as romantic sacrifice, and making silence seem a girl's virtue. Behind Ariel's innocence lies a deliberate erasure. I ask you, who decided that women should trade their voices for love? And why is her silence still the product we are sold? I see Ariel everywhere, on lunchboxes, pajamas, and birthday cakes. Her world is bright, safe, and full of song. For millions of children, she is the first princess who wants something more, who dreams of a different life. The Disney version, released in 1989, became a global phenomenon. It earned over $200 million at the box office and launched what would be called the Disney Renaissance. Ariel's image, wide-eyed, flame-haired, reaching for the surface, became the new template for the modern heroine. She is curious, hopeful, and endlessly forgiving. She wants love, and she wants to belong. But beneath the pastel colors and catchy music, a deeper design is at work. I have found that Ariel's journey is defined by a single bargain. She gives up her voice in exchange for a chance at love. The cost is not hidden. It is sung, signed, and celebrated. A girl's silence is framed as the price of her dreams. In the world that Disney built, this is not a tragedy. It is a triumph. The loss of speech is transformed into proof of romantic devotion, a sacrifice that is rewarded, not mourned. The audience is taught to see her voicelessness as sweet, even empowering. Ariel's silence is not a warning, but a virtue. This comfort is no accident. The innocence that surrounds Ariel is carefully constructed, a shield that hides what was erased. The danger is not in the ocean's depths, but in what we are told to forget. The Little Mermaid's safety is manufactured, and its cost is real. Now, I ask you this. The question is not what Ariel lost, but who decided she should lose it in the first place? Long before the mermaid became a child's companion, I uncovered that her story was one of hunger and power. In the oldest accounts, she is not a dreamer, but a predator. Homer's Odyssey describes sirens whose voices promise secret knowledge, but whose song spells death. Odysseus, warned by Circe, had his men plug their ears with wax and bound himself to the mast. The sirens called to him, offering the pain and glory of Troy, but their island was ringed by the bones of those who listened. There was no safety, no mercy, only the certainty that to hear a woman's song was to risk destruction. Ovid's Metamorphoses tells of sirens with wings and claws, playing lyres and flutes, luring sailors to their graves. Their beauty was a trap, their song a weapon. They did not offer love, they offered the knowledge of fate, and the price was always the same. In these stories, the mermaid's voice was not a gift to the world. It was a force that could not be bargained with or contained. Sailors feared her not because she was misunderstood, but because she was absolute. Scandinavian Hafru legends echo this terror. Mermaids who waded in the cold waters, their songs pulling ships off course and dragging men down to the depths. In every version, the mermaid acted alone. She answered to no one. Her autonomy was total, her power unquestioned. The innocence of the modern mermaid is not a lost memory, it is a deliberate erasure of a figure who once ruled the boundary between light and death. I uncover that Anderson's 1837 tale strips the mermaid of her power with surgical precision. The sea witch takes her tongue, her only means to speak, to sing, to warn, to love. What follows is not a fairy tale trial, but a sentence. Every step on human legs brings pain like knives. The mermaid is forbidden to explain herself, to plead her case, to reveal her sacrifice. She is condemned to silence and agony, watched by the prince who cannot know her story. The promise of heaven is withheld unless she murders the man she loves or dissolves into foam. She chooses to disappear, her suffering unseen, her voice erased. Anderson's story does not reward speech, it disciplines it. Next, I trace how Victorian illustrators seized upon this narrative of suffering and recast it for a new audience. Lawrence Froelich's plates from 1877 and Edward Stratton's drawings from the late 19th century render the mermaid as a fragile, downcast child. Wide eyes, small bodies, averted gazes. These images soften the horror, evacuating the adult body and the threat it once carried. Earlier engravings showed mermaids as grown women, bare-breasted, confronting the viewer. Now innocence is enforced. The mermaid is no longer dangerous, no longer sexual, no longer capable of prophecy. She is made suitable for the nursery, her suffering sanitized for moral instruction. Finally, I reveal how Disney completes the inversion. In the 1989 film, Ariel signs away her voice with a smile. The contract is not forced upon her, it is embraced. The loss of speech is no longer punishment, but proof of love and agency. Silence is sold as empowerment, the mutilation repackaged as a virtue. What began as discipline is now a product, marketed, animated, and consumed. The chain is complete, from mutilation to infantilization to corporate empowerment. The mermaid's silence is made safe, beautiful, and profitable. I discovered that in the oldest manuscripts, the mermaid's voice was not a song of longing, but a message from the drowned. The Liber Monstrorum, written in the 8th century, describes sea women whose voices echo those lost to the waves. Their song is not entertainment, it is prophecy, a warning and a threat. In these tales, to hear a mermaid was to hear the knowledge of the dead, to risk learning what should remain hidden. Across Europe, water spirits, nixies, selkies, and marrows were consulted for omens, weather, and the fate of the living. Their voices bridged worlds, carrying secrets beyond the reach of kings and priests. This power could not be tolerated. Church synods condemned the practice of seeking prophecy from water women, branding it witchcraft. The Council of Trent reaffirmed these bans, equating such voices with heresy. The response was not erasure, but transformation. By the 12th century, ecclesiastical bestiaries like the Physiologus replaced the mermaid's prophecy with symbols of vanity, a mirror and a comb. The siren's voice, once a force of revelation, was recast as the lure of sin. In the margins of illuminated manuscripts, the mermaid no longer speaks. She gazes at her own reflection, silent, emptied of knowledge. The threat of forbidden wisdom is buried beneath the surface and replaced by the image of a woman lost in herself. The voice is gone, and with it, the power to warn, to guide, to defy. I've uncovered that once the mermaid's voice is gone, her value is measured in silence. The body, once a vessel of prophecy and power, is stripped of speech and transformed into an object for display. In Disney's film, Ariel spends most of her time on land unable to speak. Her presence reduced to gestures, glances, and longing looks. The camera lingers on her face, her hair, her transformation. The focus is no longer on what she knows or what she might reveal, but on how she appears to others, especially to the prince. Silence becomes the measure of worth. This is not unique to animation. 19th century conduct manuals instructed women and girls to cultivate beauty, modesty, and obedience, while discouraging public speech. Advice books, such as Sarah Stickney Ellis, The Daughters of England, warned that a woman's influence should be silent, exercised through example, not words. In both literature and daily life, the expectation is clear: listen, adorn, defer. The mermaid's silence becomes a cultural script, teaching that a woman's worth is found not in her voice, but in how she is seen and how well she pleases. The gaze replaces the song. The body becomes the message. This story does not end with illustration or animation. I have uncovered that the silence of the mermaid has become a psychological script, written into the language and behavior of generations. Girls learn early that acceptance comes at the price of self-erasure. Linguistic studies reveal the patterns: hesitation, apology, and deference threaded through the speech of women and girls. The words are softer, the sentences hedged, the opinions withdrawn. This is not folklore, it is social fact, reinforced every time a girl is praised for being agreeable, every time assertiveness is met with correction. Disney's version of The Little Mermaid reached an estimated 87 million viewers in its first decade. The message was not lost. The story was consumed, repeated, and internalized. When the 2023 remake arrived, the core narrative remained unchanged. Voicelessness was still the mermaid's defining trait. The silence persists because it has been made into a product sold as love, virtue, and safety. What was once prophecy has been reduced to a lesson. To be loved, a girl must be silent. The evidence is everywhere. The crime is ongoing. Today, more than 87 million viewers have seen a mermaid's silence reframed as virtue. I present that figure as evidence. Each retelling preserves the lesson. A woman's voice is still the price of acceptance. The story endures, not as fantasy, but as instruction. I make this question plain: who benefits when silence becomes tradition? Share your thoughts below.